So now that we just got done with our NBA segment of our Sports Mega today segment of the day, we're going to be getting into our discussion segment of the day. We talk about a lot of things on this podcast. So we talk about sports, we talk about maybe politics, we'll talk about anything else on here. But today we're going to touch it. We're not going to get too deep on it. We're going to allow the audience to dictate a little bit of that. But we're going to be talking about a little bit when it comes to relationships today. I'm going to be asking my father a couple questions. For this segment, I'm asking my father a couple questions. And he's going to answer the question, and then it's going to either cause a discussion or we're going to move forward. It's going to be 4 to 3 questions. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. And then after this segment, we're going to have our scripture of the day, and then we'll go about our lives. Okay, so the first question we have, so these questions is going to give you a question, and then we're going to get into it, and we're going to have like debate angles or whatever it is about it, and then whatever it is. We're going to go. All right. First statement. The man should always pay for the first date. Agree or disagree?
I agree. I agree that a man.
Disagree.
I agree. And call me a caveman, but I believe a gentleman should always pay for the first date. If he's going out with a young lady or a woman of his choice, and you're going out to have a good time, whatever that is. Particularly, we talk about paying, whether it's a movie, dinner, everything appropriate. Let me just say that everything appropriate. Because we're inappropriate these days. Yeah. But a man should pay for it. I believe he should.
No, I don't know about that. Now I'm going to make a statement to it. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
When we're talking about paying, right?
Okay.
I think I heard this. Whoever had the idea of going on a date should be the one who should be paying. Like if a female approached me and was like, "Oh, let's do that," why would I pay? Even if it was her idea. Now, I'm a complete believer in 50-50. Especially nowadays. If I'm meeting somebody, and
he's young, y'all. He's young.
Man, I ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? If I meet somebody, you know what I'm saying, and we enjoy each other's company or whatever, and we go on a date that requires money, because most of the time, if I'm going on a date the first time, unless it's food, I'm not paying for nothing. I'm gonna figure something out. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna do something fun. But if we're going on a first date and if someone has to pay for it, I'm gonna say 50-50. If it was mutual, and I feel like a man should pay if it was more like the man really really wanted to go and the woman's just there.
Well, in my opinion, the man should have been the one who initiated the date.
That's not always true nowadays.
I get it.
It's
but
tough now.
But I think that that's the issue with society, that our men are not assuming their role as a man or a gentleman in that relationship or the date. He should be the one to initiate it, and if he initiates it, then he controls the narrative.
But initiation now causes so many problems. Like if you initiate, all of a sudden you get things turn to this, turn to that, then all of a sudden you may be behind bars. And you don't know what happened, all because you just want to approach somebody. Don't know what happens, you know what I'm saying? Especially in this social media age, you approach somebody, all of a sudden you're up a laughing stock on Instagram, laughing stock on Twitter, or Finsta, whatever you want, wherever they got. You know what I'm saying? So you're the laughing stock everywhere if it goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I don't.
There was a term that was used when me growing up, and many of you that are around my age or older, and you may even notice if you're young, there was a term that we used when it came to a man and a woman, that the man has to have game.
Yeah.
If he
got that game now.
But if he has game, if he has real game.
Real game.
I'm talking about real game.
Yeah.
Not this fake game.
I wasn't talking about me now. No.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general. If the man has legitimate game, then he controls the narrative, and so therefore I believe he should pay.
But I feel like if a guy really has
don't have no game.
I feel like if a guy really has game, he should be paying, bro. You should figure it out.
Well,
I don't remember last time I paid.
Let me tell you this. We will move on, but again, I believe that a man should pay. A gentleman should always pay.
All right, second question. Don't move in with someone until you're married. So let's say someone has a relationship, a long-term relationship. Should they don't? The statement is don't move in until you're married. Agree or disagree?
I agree. Do not move in with someone, particularly that when you're not married. Of course, those are my personal convictions. That if you're going to play house, then that falls in the lines of marriage between a man and a woman, and so with that being said, no, you should not move in with someone you're not married to.
I completely agree. There's too many things that can go on in that, especially if you're in a relationship. Now, if it's a male and female dynamic, even being roommates, if even if there's not like a romantic relationship, even being roommates is tough. But to be in a full on relationship, and you're not married, like what does that really mean? What is that saying? Like what are you allowing that you shouldn't be allowing? And all those different things like that. I completely agree with that one. We can move forward with that one. The quote three, or rule three, I should say. You should meet someone through friends or church, not online.
Um, yes, I don't, and this is no knock to people who have met people online, but I don't want to meet someone I've never ever saw in person. Um, that's too weird. Um, and
Well,
that's just
well,
my
if you
opinion.
meet through a friend, like, no, 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 no,
I mean, but at
no.
the end of the day, now we've got someone, even though I've never met them before, at least I know someone who knows
Knows
you.
them, yeah.
So therefore, of course, you can't take everyone's word for it, but I'm going to take some type of word from a
Majority of the
mutual
time,
friend.
yeah.
Yeah. And you said at church, I mean, obviously, you got to be careful with that one too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
at least go to the same church and have seen this person a while and watch their worship
Mannerism.
life or their relationship with God, life. And if things are lining up, then okay, if that's your cup of tea, go for it. If you're seeing inconsistencies in that, leave that alone. Because if it's inconsistency in their relationship with God, there's going to be inconsistencies with their relationship with you.
Yeah, I would agree to a degree because there are dating apps out there, and there's a lot of people who don't go out. Like there's a lot of people who don't got a lot. Let's say the person doesn't really have a lot of friends, but they want to meet somebody, but their friends all married, and then like maybe my situation, like all my people, all my boys, you know what I'm saying, they all got girls, they're married. My best friend is married. My other boy, he's a long term relationship. Like they're not gonna just be out there trying to like have people for me, and I don't, and they girls, I don't want any of their friends. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Be
cool with
careful.
it.
Be careful. They might watch. They might be watching.
Yeah, man, they know him. I know him. I know them all. They know me. You know what I'm saying? So you have dating apps. You have Christian dating apps. You got other dating apps. Some of them aren't good, but there are ones that are good. You have DMs. Like say if you see somebody on now, I would deter from that. I have my experiences with that. I would deter from DMing people. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? But like DMing people because I feel like there's a lot of lust when it comes to that. When you get into that, like, oh, she looks good, oh, I like this about her, so that I'm going to DM her to get into this situation. I wouldn't always agree to that situation. I feel like there's a lot of, like, not good things that can happen. And then also for guys, unless you like super popular on Instagram or whatever, the shawty who you trying to text, she's not going to text you back, bro, because she gets texted by a bunch of other dudes. So, that's a whole other situation. But I would agree to a degree. I think it is better if you meet through friends or at church. I think it's better to do it in person rather than online, but I wouldn't say that online is just that's
No,
completely not an option.
my experiences are, when it comes to good relationships, um, had nothing to do with being online. I'm not talking about just mine, but I'm talking about with other people I know. And again, there are people who have found love and they're doing exceptionally well in their relationship, having met online, being compatible, and so on and so forth. However, they had to do the dating thing to eventually realize, okay, maybe this is a person I need to be involved with, right? But again, to each his own. Everyone finds relationships of love in unique situations. They're not all the same. Shout out to those. If it works for you, it works. But my recommendation, through a mutual friend and to a church.
Yes. And so the last rule or the last statement of the day is if you don't meet their family early, it's not serious.
That's not true. That's not true. Um, 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 I mean, there can be a degree of truth to it. There can be a
Uh,
degree of truth, but that's not always true because here's the thing: not 9 times out of 10. I don't know why that person may not always want to know your family.
if the
You know
girl
what
I
I'm saying?
meet, she don't know if she don't know you by now, yeah, she ain't serious.
Yeah,
She don't know you.
let me
It's
say
too
this.
easy to meet, right?
Let me say this. Every relationship has its own weird or indifferent criteria on how it works. To some, that may work meeting the family early. To others, meeting family later, it may have been the better thing. So, to each his own.
Um, honestly, I feel like unless you meet someone and your family lives in like 3 states away, I feel like if you live like me, like if I because I'm single or whatever, and we ain't got to get into that. You know what I'm saying? But if I meet someone now and they live near me, like it's almost gonna be impossible. If it's unless it's so not serious, like let me put it this way: if it's even kind of serious, my people will know. Even if it's kind of serious, because if it's kind of serious, I'm gonna bring it to church. Like I'm like you gonna go to church with me? I'm going to your church. And then my dad gotta ask why I'm not at church. And then he gonna be like, okay, then like, oh, you're going to this church? Okay, let me meet her. Or let me see who that pastor is. So like, if it's even kind of serious, not even like a little bit. If it's even kind of serious, I'm already gonna be in a position where it's like, oh, you're gonna come to church, and then you're gonna meet my mom, my dad, then you're gonna meet my brother, my sister, then you're gonna meet my grandma, my grandma. Like you're gonna meet everybody just through a kind of serious thing. So when it comes to me, it's not serious at all. If you don't know my family off the rip, it's not like, and I mean like I don't know who's watching. See, I don't, you know what I'm saying? But
Look, look. You know, look. For me, it was different. As any of you, if you watched our first episode, our first podcast, um, me and my wife kind of grew up together. So her parents
that's
seen
funny.
me grow up and develop into a man. So my situation is completely different. So, I mean, you're not going to introduce no
didn't mean
one
that.
to anyone that you're not really serious about. Now, if you're not, you can introduce them to friends, whatever, even on people that you're not, really serious about. Because you say, oh, hey, we're dating, or this is my friend, blah, 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 right? But in real life, not television, you ain't introducing nobody to nobody that you really ain't serious with, unless you get caught with them somewhere, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, who are you? How come you ain't brought them around, and you get that whole conversation that's neither here nor there, from the nosy cousin in your family, if you got one of those.
Yeah.
But other than that,
That's funny.
yeah, but other than that, no. I mean, you know, I'm not introducing nobody to anybody that I ain't really serious about.
Yeah, like
What's the point?
What's the
We,
point?
I
Like,
mean,
just to get them
yeah.
invested in somebody who's not gonna be there long. Or
Look,
who's not gonna be there
my son
for
could tell you
real.
this. My son could tell you this. And this may be wrong, but I told
Don't
him, I
care.
said,
It's funny.
I said this, I ain't never gonna really like your girlfriend.
Nah, not for real.
I don't care who you bring, I'm not gonna like them on purpose. One, because I don't want to actually start liking, or who eventually you're not gonna like no more.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna be like, why they ain't come around no more? You know what I'm saying? Because as a parent, it'd be wonderful. One day I am gonna have a daughter-in-law, and it's gonna be wonderful. And I got a daughter-in-law. They get married, have grandkids, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, well, have their kids and be my grandkids. Y'all understand what I'm saying? That's a wonderful thing. But I don't want to like someone, and be like, oh, I think she'll be a great daughter-in-law. And me and the wife talking about, oh, they gonna have pretty kids. And all of a sudden, he come back home talking about, she ain't the one.
Nah,
Man, I ain't got time. I just say I ain't gonna like none of your girlfriends. So I'm just tell them off the bat. At the end of the day, my daddy is not gonna like you.
Nah.
My mama,
He might
she
like
may
you.
fool with you, but my
No.
daddy, he ain't gonna like you unless we serious. Unless I come to him and say, Dad,
That's what it is.
this is what it is. Then I'll flip the switch and then
we
we
go about
cool.
our lives, yeah.
But here's another thing about me. If I'm trying to like you, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Cause I pretty much like and love just about everybody.
Everybody.
I gotta.
It gotta be bad.
It gotta be
It
like
gotta-
really.
gotta be
It gotta
bad.
be really something for me not to like
I
you.
know it gotta be
But
bad.
if I'm struggling,
If it's like I don't know, I'm
trying to.
try to see the good side.
I'm trying to.
You know?
Yeah, that's the indicator right there. Like, no,
No.
this ain't it. This ain't it. So that's just me.
But then by that time I would already had,
You should already know.
Yeah.
Just put that down there
Alright.
like that.
All right. Well, that would be the end of that segment. When this segment now comes out, make sure y'all drop y'all questions down below, what y'all like, what y'all didn't like. But also, especially for this segment specifically, if there's any questions that you want us to answer, anything that you want us to talk about, anything that you want us to see, this is the segment for y'all. We have the sports segments, we got the tier list segments, we're gonna have other segments, but the discussion segments is ones that I want. This is what I want y'all to know. If y'all want a question, y'all want to know something, y'all want to ask something, y'all want to ask about what relationships I had or what stuff he's going on. My mom's gonna be on. All these. Ask the questions, drop them down below. What you like, what you don't like, what we should talk about, what we shouldn't talk about. All these different things. Please let us know.
Yes.
We're going to get into the scripture for the day.
Find it.
And we're going to be in Matthew.
Give it to him.
Matthew 6:22 through 23.
Good.
Your eye is like a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is healthy, your whole body is filled with light. But when your eye is unhealthy, your whole body is filled with darkness. And if the light you think you have is actually darkness, how deep that darkness is. I love this scripture because it talks about what you put in is what you're filled with. And when it talks about what you look at, especially it's about where we surround ourselves with. It's about who we put ourselves around. Obviously you hear the rule of like the 10 people who you're closest to. If nine people do this one thing and you hang around them, you're going to end up doing that one thing. You're a product of your 5 closest people, your 10 closest people around you. And if the things that you look at aren't good, if you're constantly looking at things you're not supposed to, or even listening to things you're not supposed to, or being around things that you're not supposed to, you're all of a sudden going to adopt and you're going to become those things. That's why it's important for us to always be reading the Bible. That's why it's important for us to always be looking at things that are righteous, that looking at things, looking at the Christian YouTube videos or all these other things, or not even just it has to be Christian. It's something that doesn't demoralize or something that doesn't dilute what is true and what is righteous. So what you put in, what you look at, what you hear, what you fill yourself with, that's what you're going to resonate. That's what's inside of you. And if you're finding yourself always doing something that you don't like doing, or you find yourself always saying something you don't like saying, you have to figure out, what am I putting in? Because what you're giving out is only things that you put in. So if you're finding yourself reacting in ways that you don't like reacting, if you find yourself doing things that you don't like doing, it's probably because of what you're putting into yourself. Yeah. Not based off of if you're saved or not. It's not based off all these things. It has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with what you're allowing in. Is because what you're allowing in is what allows coming out. What you got anything to say on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's this term, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And if you allow certain things to infiltrate your being, then you'll become everything that you didn't desire, or everything that you didn't want to be, or everything that's less appetizing for your life. So we got to be careful in every facet of our lives. What's influencing us? Who's influencing you? And we have to be careful of those things and making sure that whatever's feeding me or whatever I'm investing my time in, it's got to be beneficial both ways. If it's not benefiting both ways, then I'm going to find another way to do it. So very good passage of scripture. Yeah. Very good encouragement.
I like to also touch on the last part about that.
Sure.
And it says, and if the light you think is actually darkness, how deep that darkness is. I like to think about that because sometimes we look at ourselves and we think that we're righteous, or we may think that we're already better than what we are. Yeah. And if you believe that, then that darkness is way deeper than what you can actually expect.
Yeah.
You need to always reevaluate your righteousness, reevaluate your holiness, reevaluate the people around you, reevaluate the things that you're watching and what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Because if you find yourself being self-righteous when you're not being self-righteous, then you'll find yourself in an endless hole of I think I'm good, but I'm really not. And you find yourself always rotating, and then you're one of the ones you don't want to be, but you're one of the ones saying, Lord, Lord, have I not done this? Have I not done that? But you thought yourself was righteous when you've actually been putting yourself in darkness and darkness and darkness because you surround yourself around things you shouldn't be surrounding yourself around. So make sure that darkness isn't that deep, because you always reevaluate what you're doing. Always reevaluate. Always take a step back and say, okay, am I doing this the right way? What am I putting in? And making sure that what I put in is what I'm putting out. I thank everybody for watching. As always,
like, share, and subscribe.
Share, comment, subscribe. You want to do that, Joe? You can do it. Yeah,
the intro. Yeah, but put it like this. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Help us grow the show.
Please.
I mean, we're here doing this for the first time, and like everyone who is successful,
we can do this regardless.
Yeah, you do it, and eventually, you want to be able to be a blessing or help to someone. And again, we got more coming to you.
Absolutely.
We got more topics. More conversations,
maybe
guests
people
that we're going to be bringing on the show. And so we want to encourage you to continue to help us grow the show. Again, likes, share,
your
and
ideas
subscribe.
Is what we need, because it's what you want to watch.
Send it to
what
us.
do you want to watch?
Yes.
Let us know what you want to watch. If you don't tell us what you want to watch, then we're going to watch stuff that you don't want to watch.
And we'll
tell
talk
us what
about
you want to watch, and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. If you have a discussion idea, put it down. If you got an argument, put it down. If you just have a bad comment, put it down, just to do it. Just to see, so we can evaluate what we need to do.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, thank you so much, and tune in until the next time. God bless you. Peace and love. WWP. We out.
All love.